Card Kaizoku.
This video is brought to you by CoreTCG. Shop the latest in premium holographic textured custom One Piece cards. Designed for collectors, crafted to stand out. Use code Kaizoku for 15% off your next order. This video is sponsored by gumgum.gg. Discover Western OP10 lists and Eastern OP11 lists on gumgum.gg. Updated daily. Be the first to see decks for new leaders as they emerge. With over 1,000 deck lists per set, gumgum.gg has all the top strategies as soon as they drop. This video is sponsored by Card Market, Europe's largest online marketplace for trading card games. Alright, so our first wave of regional tournaments have come and gone, and we have gotten the results for most of them. Right, I think the Virginia regionals and then the London regionals, we have the top 32 deck lists. CoreTCG, we have 21 of the top 32 decks, and then the Athens regional, still waiting to get data on that, but we have the winner from that tournament at least. And yeah, shout out to Eggman for getting these out so quickly. Like literally next day, some of these top 32 results were already up in the full deck list. So yeah, shout out to him for making this analysis possible. So from the 4 regionals, we had a Purple Luffy winner. We had a Lim winner. That was really surprising. We had a Red Green Smoker from Athens that we don't have like the rest of the top 32 from. And finally, we have a Nami. And yeah, up on screen here is my initial speculative tier list. This was like a day or two after the ban list was announced. This is before any ranked data that I could pull from or any like too heavily extensive testing that I could do. Right, this is just off of like my instinct and my base feeling. And this was kind of the sentiment I got from that tier list. A lot of people doubted me and gave me a lot of flack for putting Doflamingo still in S and Lucci up in A still, even though both of them got nerfed. Lucci lost 2 cards, in fact. But yeah, in the end, this is what I feel like is the current tier list after a couple weeks of ranked data and then our first wave of offline regionals. Really early results. And as we can see here, Doflamingo is still S and Lucci is still A. We were completely right in the end. You bozos were like, I don't know, so confident in being wrong in the end. And yeah, the frustrating part is like, people will call me out for having a bad tier list, but in the end, even though I was correct, they'll never apologize. They'll never have to face the fact that they're wrong. But it's immortalized in this video now. I'm going to talk about it. No lack of pettiness here. So yeah, how I got this tier list? Well, it's just based mostly off of the tournament results. I'm using that to base my decision, plus more updated rank data. So let's go over the tournament results real quick. So I'm looking at the London regionals, Booster Box, Virginia regionals, and then the CoreTCG Pasadena regionals. Going by the number of tops, this is top 32s. And again, CoreTCG's top 32 isn't complete. More than half of it's there, 21 of the decks. At least the top 16 is there in its entirety. But yeah, the breakdown goes as follows. Shanks with the most number of top 32 decks, followed by Blue Doflamingo, followed by Teach, followed by Lucci. Lucci, A tier deck, hello, sitting right there in front of your face. And then Purple Luffy with 8 top 32 decks, followed by Usopp, Zoro, Lim, Katakuri, Kid, Reiju, Bonnie, Nami, Boa Hancock, Newgate, and an Eno. And as we mentioned before, the decks that won their respective regionals was a Nami, a Lim, a Purple Luffy, and a Red Green Smoker that I don't have in this data set here. So those are the tournament results that affected the tier list. And then we take a look at the ranked data. This is for the past week, 1 billion bounty plus. Doflamingo sitting up here with the highest weighted win rate, followed by Red Zoro, followed by Shanks, and then Blackbeard, who finally has an above 50% win rate on the West. People are finally figuring out how to play them. The answer was don't run Liberation. It was a bait card in the end, surprisingly. I guess in this post-ban meta, if that clarification needs to be made. Then Purple Luffy up next at 5th, then Piss Kid, Lim. Lucci at 8th, climbed up to 8th, has kind of solidified himself in like the 7th and 8th place slot here. Which, yeah, A tier deck, hello. And then Reiju up next, and then Bonnie rounds it out at 10th. Surprisingly, Smoker is not doing too hot, neither is Usopp on the ranked ladder at least. But in terms of tournament conversion, Usopp is up there, and then Red Green Smoker. We actually didn't see any Red Green Smokers from the other 3 tournaments here, but they did win the Greece regionals, so I can't give it no credit at least, right? Even though it didn't appear in any of the other top 32s for these other 3 tournaments, it won one. So yeah, let's just go over the tier list here. So Blue Doflamingo, both in ranked data, performance, and in like tournament topping, he was one of the top most represented decks in the top 32. So yeah, it goes to show you Jinbei was not the like biggest problem with Doflamingo. I do still think that it's either the 2-cost Teach or the 4-cost Law. Jinbei being out does slow the deck down a little bit, but apparently not enough. I still consider him an S tier deck. Oh, by the way, the order in these tiers do not matter. No matter how much I'm going to say that, people are just going to look at the screenshot of this tier list. So I'm going to put like huge text every time this tier list is on screen. And yeah, Shanks up next. This is expected. Everyone's playing this deck. It is a pretty brain dead deck, right? You don't really have to make too many decisions. It pretty much plays itself, but it's a really high roll deck too, right? If you don't draw your late game on curve, it's hard to win. And then Blackbeard, I put him in A just because I thought the meta would be full of blue Doflamingos, purple Luffys, and then red Zoros, but he's still able to hold his own. They're teching a lot into the red Zoro, at least with the Shiryus, right? A lot of people are playing this Shiryu card into their decks. This one here, not only does it pop a 3 cost, but it also is really hard to attack back into because he stays a 7k on your opponent's turn. So that's been a big boon for the Blackbeard into other aggro deck matchups. And then Purple Luffy, of course, we knew this card was going to be good, right? One of his biggest weaknesses was Lucci, especially with Ice Age. So losing Ice Age makes it really hard for Lucci to KO Luffy's boards. He can get too wide too quick with bodies that are too big to remove. And he has access to Gungam Giant still, which is like the best defensive counter in the game. And then yeah, of course we saw Lucci, right? He's still really represented in the top tables. Unfortunately, did not make any top 8s, but still showed up 8 decks in the top 32. I think that deserves a spot in A tier at the very least. And he's good into a lot of the top decks here, right? He's good into Doflamingo, good into Lim, good into Zoro. But yeah, now kind of has trouble into Purple Luffy. And then of course, I think Usopp is like an auto lose matchup for him. It's impossible for Lucci to kill Usopp. Lucci and the Blackbeard has always been an uphill battle, so that doesn't change at all here either. And then in my particular build of Lucci, I have no trouble with Shanks, but a lot of people seem to think that Shanks beats Lucci. I don't know. Just from my anecdotal experience, I don't have trouble with Shanks, but I'm going to have to go with the masses on this one, I guess. And yeah, Usopp up here is a little surprising too. He's good into Doflamingo and Zoro, so he's got that going for him. And then yeah, he beats any Lucci he plays against. Against Teach, I think Teach is favored in that matchup. But I guess Usopp can bounce a lot of Purple Luffy's bodies back to their hand, so you can win that way too. So yeah, just really surprised to see him here. Aggro Zoro, Red Zoro, of course, was going to be up here because with Doflamingo nerfed a little bit and then Lucci being less played, Doflamingo can run rampant and then have his way with the meta. And yeah, Lim a lot better than I gave her credit for. The builds that I saw that ended up doing really well didn't play any of the high costed characters at all, right? So no Zoro from OP06 or Audio for that matter, right? They just ramped to play more 5-drops on board, which seemed to do really well, right? This guy provides a lot of lethal power. And then, yeah, Sakazuki just straight up pops a 5-drop, and then Newgate pops a 3-drop, this one here. So, like, a lot of surprisingly free, easy removal in green, like, pretty unconditionally, too, in the Lim deck, at least. Then Red Green Smoker, yeah, I'm a little conflicted on this one, because I can't deny that Smoker won one of the regionals, but the fact that Smoker didn't appear in the top 32 of any of the other 3, or maybe in the Pasadena regionals they may have, but it's just incomplete data. But at least for the London and then the Virginia regionals, no Smokers at all. So yeah, kind of weirded out by that. But yeah, we'll just put them in A to be safe. And then here are some of the other like kind of roguish decks that we saw. We saw Katakuri up here. We saw Reiju, Piss Kid. Bonnie, I completely misjudged. I thought Bonnie was going to be S tier, but in the end, she's not doing too hot at the moment. And then, yeah, here are what I would consider meta calls, depending on the meta that you expect to see. Nami did win one of the regionals, so I have to give her credit for that. But I do think, like, if it's a Doflamingo or Zoro or Purple Luffy heavy kind of metagame that you expect, Nami's going to have trouble against that. But against the other decks, she seems to do pretty well, right? I would assume, like, Lucci, Usopp, even Shanks is a really easy time for Nami. So it depends on your matchups. If you think there's going to be more of those kind of decks at a particular tournament, Nami's your call. Right, I don't think it's something you bring to every tournament. Same with the Boa. Boa deals with a lot of Blackbeard's characters really well, right? She could always bounce a Jesus Burgess back to hand, which other decks can't really KO. So like she's kind of like the other removal deck if Lucci completely died, but he didn't. So yeah, I do think Lucci is better than Boa still at the moment. It's just not in particular into Teach. Then Enel also still a meta call, I think. Right, he's great into aggro decks because he can survive them pretty well. But yeah, I do think like decks like Shanks and Blackbeard in particular, even Purple Luffy, his swarming is pretty high statted. Eventually they'll like wear down in Enel. And I would assume Lim does get into Enel too, right? The Mihawk swings are pretty devastating. So this is what I would consider the meta right now, S to meta calls, right? These are all decks that you can perform with. We saw actual performance with them on this this chart here. And then on the ranking on the rank sim, these decks are all represented here, right? We see in the top 10 every deck that we mentioned. And here are some decks that I think will be sleepers. We did see a Newgate top, so yeah, maybe Newgate is a lot stronger than people give him credit for, right? A lot of people wrote him off. Starter deck 21 did kind of boost his straw hat beard kind of package, so there's that to look into if you want to try something unexpected. Uta too, I keep seeing Uta have pretty good results on the rank sim, so that could be something to look into. I think she has a good matchup into like Shanks and stuff, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I could imagine her having trouble into Usopp and Lucci just because they can keep removing her bodies on board. I think Vegapunk could also be an option. Vegapunk does really well into like Doflamingo and Zoro decks. Kagura could also be an option. It's kind of like Purple Luffy in a way, right? He poops out similar costed bodies, just a lot less utility. Purple Luffy has him beat on utility at least. And then Red Blue Marco could be another removal deck that you could consider. And then the two disappointments would be Bello Betty and Red Purple Luffy. We didn't see these decks at all. I thought they would be good, but yeah, I think Red Purple Luffy is too one-dimensional, right? You hit your ramp and then you play your late game and then hope your opponent can't kill you because you're a 3-life leader. And then Bello Betty, you just have to really hope you get triggers that cooperate with you. And you have to hope your Ivankov searches find you like a Karasu or else you're not doing as much damage as you can do. And then I figure we'll close off the video by looking at the first place list. So here is the Purple Luffy. So yeah, it runs 2 Mr. 2s. This is the most expensive deck of the 3. Everything else is pretty standard, right? 3 Big Moms, 2 9 Luffys, 3 Sanjis. Runs 1 Gamma Knife for that tech into Red Green Smoker, and then 3 Onamis. So I figure with everyone running Gum Gum Mulgun, maybe Onami would be a liability, right? Because you give minus 4k to something and then they just pop that Onami, and then whatever they debuff, they can attack into. But seems like it's still worth it just for the card draw and against non-red decks, I guess. Let's take a look at the Lim deck. So I actually did a video on this. This is Fletche's list, right? He runs this Kurozumi Orochi 2k counter that a lot of people are like, what the heck, why does he run it? And then Top Knot 2, which I keep hearing people say that he's going to cut this card out. So yeah, I was kind of confused why this card was in the deck, or at least I didn't know what it was teching against because I don't have too much experience with this deck. But he must have put it in for a reason. There's a 4-drop that's annoying for him to deal with. And then yeah, the 1 of Artificial Devil Fruit Smile. So yeah, he runs the Orochi just to have like a 1-drop that he can play out rested to activate like an Enel effect or a Newgate effect on his like 4th on turn or something, in case you guys don't know why. And then this event card just can get searched for free. So if you're playing out the Orochi anyway, might as well thin out your deck by 1 card by taking this out. And yeah, of course, Orochi lets you look at your entire deck so you can see what's in your life if you care to go into that much detail. When the price cards are worth a lot, you want to get every advantage you can, right? But yeah, as we see, no 9-drops here, no audio, no Zoro. Maxing out on the Sakazukis seems to do well enough. Yeah, and I guess yeah, against other mid-range decks, this is enough, right? Sakazuki and Newgate pops everything they play. Against decks that like to go tall, you just want to kill them with Mihawk before they play too many tall things, I guess. That's the strategy. This promo audio like shot up in price like crazy. Look, it's like 156 for full playset now. To be honest, this might be like the most inconsequential choice in the deck. Yeah, it's nice to be able to play this guy out for 3, but you could just as easily run any other 2k counter that's in the Odyssey type instead of this audio. Just IMHO. You don't need to spend 160 to play this guy. And then we have the Nami list. So yeah, I don't know too much about Nami, but I do think that the Gravity Blade is uncommon, right? This 1 of tech card runs 4 of the Searcher. 2 Arabesque Brickfist. So these are pretty tech choices, right? Pretty big tech choices. Nojiko too. Nojiko and Arabesque Brickfist. And then Hanger, right? These 3 cards are uncommon, but particularly help this person win. So yeah, they must have had big brain knowledge on the local meta that they were expecting at this regional. And then I don't have the Red Green Smoker list on hand, but I can't imagine it's too different from what people are expecting. If I can find it, I'll put it in the video in post. Alright, I did find the Red Green Smokers list that won the Greece regionals. So here it is on screen. Does it look familiar? He's running the Doflamingo package. Yep, it's similar to my deck breakdown. My OP10 deck breakdown for Red Green Smoker. I did also run the Doflamingo family package in this deck. I just wanted to highlight that because I swear everyone and their moms was just net decking the Japan Championship winners Red Green Smoker deck. But that was an EV02 format tournament. That deck is specifically teched against Green Purple Luffy. No matter how much nuance I put into my Red Green Smoker deck breakdown, I guess it didn't really get through to people. Right, we're in OP10. We don't have Green Purple Luffy to worry about. We don't need to play all the cards that tech against him just yet. We will soon, but for now, I did think that Doflamingo package was the better package to run in OP10, and I'm just glad that I'm validated in the end thanks to this top 1 Red Green Smoker in Athens. So yeah, I just want to put that in real quick. I'm just sweeping all the naysayers here. You know what? I'm starting to get tired of saying I told you so. I'm just joking, by the way. I'm not really that kind of person, or am I? But yeah, that's it for this video. This is the current standing of the metagame in OP10 post-ban at the moment. And this is not going by my feeling at all. This is pure quantitative data that we just looked at. So I hope you didn't miss the entirety of that. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of this post-ban meta. It's pretty crazy, right? We don't have like a tier 0 deck. We have 4 S tier decks and 5 A tier decks here. So a very diverse meta. Is every color represented? It is, right? Blue, red, black, purple, green. Wow, healthy meta. So yeah, I would say the ban was a pretty big success if this is the result. But yeah, it is still really early on. We'll just have to see what happens. And then EB02 comes out in less than a month, so that's going to change things up too. We're going to have a new green/purple leader that's going to be making a splash. But until then, how do you guys feel about me calling it, right? Blue Doflamingo still S, Lucci still A. Where are the naysayers now? This is why you don't doubt me. I'm always right in the end, you dummies. Okay, bye.
Card Kaizoku.